tested positive for HIV. So they're saying that specifically, like other areas of law, the offense law, sex offense law has been affected by the health concerns related to the human immunodeficiency virus, HIV, and the AIDS epidemic, which is the continuation of HIV or the evolution of HIV. And so they're saying that because HIV and AIDS are so threatening to people in their lives, they're saying that when a person purposely bites or has sex with someone who is underage or who may be of age or who threatens them, that it puts the person at risk and it puts their life at risk. Well, your life is at risk when you engage in sexual intercourse with anyone, generally speaking, and you should treat yourself logically and educate yourself so that you can say whether or not I want to engage in sexual intercourse with someone and whether the sexual intercourse with this person will benefit me in the long run. Specifically requested by a victim of sexual assault in response, most states enacted laws requiring individuals accused of certain crimes to be tested for AIDS. Right, so like in most rape cases, like if a person is raped or sodomized, a child is sodomized, they make the child and the rape victim take HIV tests, or they ask. They usually ask in most states, but like I'm saying, these are specific laws for each state. So they usually ask. If they don't ask, or the person doesn't want to take the HIV test, they don't have to, but they should. These laws have been challenged in the courts on the grounds that they violate privacy rights, right? So now the person's privacy rights are going to be brought up in the court case, and when the privacy rights for unreasonable searches and presumption of innocence of criminal defendants. So when these issues come up in court, these persons' personal information is also disclosed. And so a lot of people are unlikely to disclose this information about who they have sex with and what happens and things like that if they are victims, because they don't want their personal information to be out there that, oh, I had sex with this man, or I had sex with this woman, I committed adultery, now my wife wants to leave me, things of that nature, which also come into play where some states, like in New York State, for example, they have the right to prosecute someone based on any information that they obtain from the person that is convicted of a crime. That means that if you come into a hospital, or no, if you're in a jail cell and you tell someone that you were raped in jail, the law enforcement agencies and the courts have the right to mandate that you take a test, mandate that the other person takes a test, keep the information confidential in your court documents, does not necessarily release the information in court, but can charge you in addition, the state can charge you in addition because you have inflicted someone with the HIV transmission. I think that's specific to the state of New York. I'm not sure if other states in this country, because New York has very specific and strict laws in regards to how they handle things in their court system. Sexual psychopath legislation. So approximately 20 states have statutes that address dangerous sex offenders and sexual psychopaths. A sex offender is a person who has sex with a rape with the intent to dominate or forcibly engage in sex with someone. And a sexual psychopath is a person who is engaged in sexual intercourse or has a sexual perversion. Now, sexual perversion can be looked at as people who look at porn consistently for many hours, people who have to have sex 5 or 6 times a day. There are people like that. There are a lot of people like that, and it's not really a crime, but what it is from a therapist or a psychiatrist perspective, it is an issue with this person. And sometimes these things are induced in the person's mind because they've been sexually abused or perversed in their life, so they want to engage with sexual intercourse with people to feel fulfilled because that's how they were abused when they were younger. These statutes are designed to protect public safety by removing habitual sex offenders from society for extended periods of time. Criminal defendants treated differently from others based on their classification as sexual psychopaths have challenged these laws, arguing that they violate the Equal Protection and Due Process Clause. So what they're saying is that because people are classified as sexual psychopaths, that they're the same as a sex offender. and that is not true. A sex offender is a person who has sex with an underage person, all right, forcibly rapes a person, or a person who is helpless and not able to, mentally ill, in a comatic state, handicapped, like no legs, and can't defend themselves or say no, or maybe there's nothing wrong with having sex with a handicapped person if the handicapped person consents to sex. But there is a problem having sex with a person who is in a coma on life support, because then they have no idea what's going on with them. They're completely under the doctor's care or the state's care, which is different. Now, they're saying that sexual psychopaths are the same as offenders, and they're not. Sexual perversion, a person can have a sexual psychopath can be married, never commit adultery outside of his marriage, unless his wife consents, and still be classified as a sexual perversion or a sexual psychopath. The reason being is they may have had some type of psychotraumatic issue in their life, and so they added perversions to their sexual experience to make it more exciting. And by adding these perversions to their sexual experience, other people who may think differently about how they have sex with their partner consider them sexual perversions or psychopaths. There's nothing illegal about having sex with multiple partners. People who have sex with 4 and 5 different men or women at the same time is a sexual psychopath, because they're different than the norm of sexual activity, but they are not a sex offender, because these 4 or 5 people that are engaging in sexual intercourse with this one particular person has all consented to have sex with these 4 or 5 other additional people. So there's a perversion in the moral aspect of society that you have sex with one person, you go on a date, whatever. But if there is consent to do these acts, and these people are of legal age, they're not a sex offender, and they don't qualify under the sex offender law for prosecution in court. No judge, I don't think, would discern, or any defense or prosecuting attorney would discern, that because a person has a different sexual aspect of their life, that means that they are an offense to society. You know, if you're having sexual acts on buses and trains and planes in clear public view, that is a perversion that can lead to not an offender, not as a sex offender, because these are two consenting adults having sexual intercourse. The issue becomes the 2 people having sex and the people surrounding them having sex that may be offended to the fact that they're doing it, which could make a claim that they're indecently exposing themselves in public. You know, a married couple can have sex or hold hands or show affection in public, and it can be looked at as an offense to someone else. A person can look at a male-to-male relationship and one person holding the hand of another and find offense to that. That doesn't make them sex offenders. You know, if a person is kissing another person, there's 2 women and they're kissing and they're having sex, and someone sees, that doesn't make them sexual offenders in society. That means that they are a couple and they are showing their affection in society, in public. You know, some people can say that because you're a man and a woman and you're holding hands and you're in public view, that it is an offense to someone who is same gender loving and can't marry. You know, which would be under the judge's view to discern. But then I don't believe, based upon the understanding of the sex offender laws, that makes that they're not consenting. This man isn't forcing this woman to hold his hand. This man isn't, these 2 gentlemen aren't forcing each other to hold hands. These 2 women aren't forcing each other to hold hands. They're doing it because they like it. Now, if it's a sexual act, like a person assaults a person sexually by grabbing their tits or breast and their ass or genitals, penis, balls in public, that is a sexual assault. Okay, now that is different, because now you have tried to force someone to engage in sexual contact with you, you know, because this person did not necessarily want you to touch them. You know, some people have been charged for that, you know, but then that can qualify you to be a sexual offender, because then that is not consent. You know, consent consent is the key word here. And so then in addition to that, you can't really justify saying that a person who is HIV positive that has sex with someone else is not consenting to have sex with this person, whether this person has disclosed their status or not. I support the notion that people be honest. I've met quite a few people in my lifetime who've been honest about their sexual status, and I support that notion. People will find that not everyone will say no to you because you're HIV positive, because they know they can wear a condom and they'll be safe. Some people can have sex with someone with a condom and not contract HIV. I've had numerous partners years ago who were HIV positive that we were honest about it, and they didn't contract HIV. I didn't contract HIV. They didn't give me HIV. But I think that the honesty is the key element that will distort a lot of gray areas. And the only way that people can be honest about their HIV status so that they are not violating another person's rights is by getting tested and knowing themselves and taking care of themselves so that they can make better discerned choices about sexual interactions with consent versus people who don't have sexual perversions without consent, who force or manipulate people into having sexual contact with them, because it is widely done in this country. Thank you.